Welcome to the new Kansas Speedway for the first Indy Racing League event. I'm Scott Sharp. We're with the Delphi team. We're on the pole. Grab a seat and get ready to watch the green flag.
ABC Sports welcomes you live to sold-out Kansas Speedway for stop number 8 on the Indy Racing League schedule for 2001, the Ameristar Casino Indy 300. 22 of the country's best open-wheel drivers are about to compete on this brand new track in Kansas City, Kansas. Here's how they'll line up. Row 1, Scott Sharp with his 4th career pole, and Eddie Cheever Jr. his 1st career front row start. Row 2, Eliseo Salazar with his best start of the season, and Robbie Buell. Points leader Sam Hornish Jr. and rookie points leader Felipe Giafoni in row 3. Starting 7th, Mark Dismore alongside Billy Boat. In the 5th row, Shigea Tori and former series champ Greg Ray back after missing Richmond due to a crash. Donnie Beechler will have 11th alongside Buddy Lazier, going for his 3rd straight win today. Last week's pole sitter Jacques Lazier is in row 7 along with Robbie McGee back from his injury in Texas. Teammates in row 8, two-time Indy winner Al Unser Jr. and Gallus teammate Didier Andre. Sara Fisher started on the front row last week. Today she'll start 17th. With her in row 9, Buzz Calkins. John Herb and Jarrod Schrader will be in row 10. And in row 11, Billy Rowe and Ayrton Dare, who did not qualify due to gearbox problems. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins along with Larry Rice. It's a brand new racetrack here, 1.5 miles, tri-oval, turns banked at 15 degrees. But the story since we arrived here on Thursday has been the heat. The heat index will exceed 100 today, causing problems for drivers and cars.
It is hot, hot, hot. These guys are going to have problems when they're in the car if they don't get enough fluids in them. They're going to get dehydrated. Yesterday, there were some drivers who had to be treated for heat exhaustion. Also, we have a problem with the engines. They're going to get hot. They're going to be gasping for air. They've got larger openings in the radiators so they can get more air through there. And the tires also are going to get hot. The surface is brand new, it's very black, and it's going to absorb the heat. So the drivers are going to have to be careful not to overuse their tires.
Well, specifically the numbers 95 degrees, the heat index will be above 100, and the track temperature is 126. The stories we'll be watching here today: the Infinity engines have qualified 2nd and 4th. Buddy Lazier going for 3 wins in a row, and all the factors regarding the heat. Jason Priestley will join Larry and me in the booth a little later. Right now, he's in front of the 75,000 fans in the starter stand, keeping a close eye on the front row starters. Jason?
Bob, the man starting on the outside of row 1, Eddie Cheever Jr., has been very critical of Scott Sharp and his very aggressive driving style. Although he's been guilty of some very aggressive driving himself of late, look for these two drivers to duke it out all day long. The other cars to watch today, the 2 cars from A.J. Foyt, Eliseo Salazar and Donnie Beechler. Both of them very fast in the full tank practice this morning. Look for them to be running up front as well. As you can see, I've got the best seat in the house for this start, Bob. I'm going to get ready to watch it. It's going to be awesome.
Field comes through turns 3 and 4, looking for the green flag. Greg Ray is on pit road as the other 22 cars begin to accelerate now out of turn number 4. And the Kansas Indy 300 is underway.
Green.
Scott Sharp has the lead. The battle is for 2nd position. That is Eddie Cheever. We're on board with him. He's fallen back to 3rd and up to challenge Scott Sharp as they come down to complete lap number 1. And the leader of lap number 1 is Eliseo Salazar.
Well, Salazar and Cheever got a little dicey there getting into 3. You can see Cheever kind of changed his line so they didn't get together. So those 2 guys after last week at it again.
And Felipe Giafoni in that red and blue car now challenges the car driven by Scott Sharp, who is falling back. And let's check in to see what's wrong with Greg Ray down on pit road.
Bob, bad luck continues to plague Greg Ray. Remember, he missed last week, the last race at Richmond due to a crash. Well, now they have an electrical problem. They are changing out the electronic fuel injectors, but Greg Ray has already gone a lap down. He has yet to turn a lap under green.
Tough luck once again for the 1999 champion of the Indy Racing League. Here is Sam Hornish on the left and Robbie Buell in that multicolored car. And Mark Dismore also is off pace. You can see him being passed by several of the cars at the back of the field. So Team Kelly not off to a good start here. As Dismore drops back and Scott Sharp now begins to move up once again. But up front, it is Eliseo Salazar and Eddie Cheever running in first and second position.
And the problem with Mark Dismore is the weight jacker is not working correctly inside the car that allows you to make adjustments in terms of handling. Mark Dismore's got his hands full right now.
Well, everybody's got their hands full out there, believe me. They were running two abreast there for a couple laps. I don't think anybody expected to see real two abreast racing, but we saw several passes on the outside already. Much better than I thought this racetrack was going to be.
Ayrton Dare, as you can see, has moved up 7 positions from 22nd.
And the reason he started back there, Bob, is he did not get to qualify, so he had a much faster car.
Eddie Cheever Jr. has been fastest in everything except qualifying. He led all the practice sessions, but when it came to qualifying, he ended up just a little bit short of Scott Sharp, but he did get his first front row start of his IRL career. And as we ride with him, the interval between Eliseo Salazar and him is about 0.6 of a second. Back here we have Scott Sharp, then Felipe Giafoni, that's Robbie Buell in the other Infinity-powered car besides Cheever, Sam Hornish Jr., and Donnie Beechler, the teammate, A.J. Foyt teammate to the leader of the race, Eliseo Salazar, is running back there in the 7th spot. And last lap, Beechler was the fastest car on the racetrack.
Yes, he started 11th, and he told us this morning he was found something in his line. A.J. and he had a long talk last night. A.J. told him a little bit different entry into the corner would help him. He said it was a huge difference in their speed.
Well, we wondered if they were going to be able to run 2 abreast through the corners, and Larry, as you indicated, yes, they can. That was Buell on the high side of Giafoni. Couldn't make the pass, but there is a second line up there that will come in even more as the race progresses.
Yes, and part of the problem is the heat. It's so slick out there. That asphalt always gets slicker when it's hot. Now he's got a great run off him coming off the corner, but he's going to have to go to the outside.
Carlo.
Just
No
like
there.
last lap, he's up
There
on
you
the
go,
high
bud.
side
Clear,
of the track.
clear.
But he made it. He made the pass, and now Sam Hornish Jr. will try to go inside of Felipe Giafoni to pick up a spot going into turn number 3.
And what happens is when that car's on the outside of you, you can't run full throttle. You have to ease up just a little bit. And when he lost that little bit of momentum, he lost 3 spots as Beechler goes around him as well.
Felipe Giafoni drops back, and Jason Priestley has made his way up from the starter stand. That was pretty awesome, huh?
Start of a race from the starting stand is one of the most exciting things you can do. Watching all those cars come under you at full song, pretty exciting, Bob.
Now Felipe Giafoni continues to drop back. That was Billy Boat that just went around him.
And Billy Boat has been pretty fast all weekend long. They found something with that car that they really like on this racetrack, and he's moving up as now it looks like our points leader Lazier is moving up on Giafoni.
Giafoni back in 8th position on board with Buddy Lazier, who runs in 9th spot, and his brother Jacques Lazier is right behind him. They move through the backstretch and into turn number 3 once again, where again the banking is at 15 degrees here in Kansas.
And you can hear right there that Buddy Lazier was actually on his rev limiter momentarily at the end of the straightaway. The wind is blowing very hard down there, and I think it's going to start to affect the cars as the race goes on.
And that's one thing that's going to help the 75,000 spectators that have gathered here. There is a nice breeze, so that will have a tendency to keep him a little cooler. Eliseo Salazar leads Eddie Cheever Jr. and Scott Sharp in the opening laps of the Kansas Indy 300.
Slow car on the bottom, slow car on the bottom.
Back live at Kansas Speedway, Kansas City, Kansas, and the yellow is out for the first time. Billy Rowe with a big puff of smoke down the backstretch. The car is coasting through turns 3 and 4, and one of the IRL safety vehicles is coming to his aid. Billy Rowe is headed for pit road, and Greg Ray is still there.
What a terrible break for him. He really wanted to come back here with a vengeance after last week. He had all that trouble, but man, oh man, what a terrible, terrible break for him. He's not going to get a run here for a while anyway.
Well, only 16 laps have been completed here at Kansas. Eliseo Salazar is leading over Eddie Cheever, Scott Sharp, Robbie Buell, Sam Hornish, and Donnie Beechler. Caution is still out here at Kansas Speedway. We'll review what's happened so far. It's hard to believe that this is the 8th race of 13 in the 2001 Indy Racing League schedule. It all began in mid-March at Phoenix International Raceway. Sam Hornish Jr. in only his 9th IRL race, but first for the Pennzoil Panther team, became the youngest winner ever in series history at 21. The sophomore driver proved that Phoenix was no fluke by winning again, this time in Miami, and putting himself well into the series points lead. In Atlanta, 99 champion Greg Ray, who had finished 22nd and 21st in the first 2 events of the year, dominated, leading 184 of the 200 laps to record his 5th career victory. The Indy 500 was won by a rookie driver for the 2nd consecutive year. Helio Castroneves' fence-climbing post-race celebration thrilled the fans and gave car owner Roger Penske his 11th Indy victory. Texas Motor Speedway always provides exciting wheel-to-wheel racing, and this year's June contest would not disappoint. Scott Sharp won one of the most thrilling races in IRL history. The following weekend at Pikes Peak International, defending series champ Buddy Lazier broke into the win column for the first time this year. And he followed it up with another win as the IRL competed on the 3/4 mile Richmond International Raceway for the first time.
Our leader, Eliseo Salazar, still has something left in the throttle. A.J. Foyt has been cautioning Salazar not to show his full potential. He feels that right now Salazar can run by himself faster than most of the cars can run in a tight draft, Vince Welch.
Well, Bob, or Jack, Eddie Cheever's car, keep an eye on it. His team has reported that the right rear tire pressures are going up, which should mean that the car is not handling as well. But Eddie reports that the car is impeccable. They had the tires over the wall to make a stop, and Eddie said, why am I coming in? No need to make the stop right now. The car feels great, but there's a lot of worried looks on the faces of the Eddie Cheever pit crew as they're concerned about that right rear tire pressure. Jack?
What about our pole sitter, Scott Sharp? It seems that Scott Sharp has decided to go with a setup with the Kelly Delphi team that comes in after 10 or 12 laps. They are concerned about tire wear. The Firestone tires have performed flawlessly for this team throughout practice and qualifications. They feel if they manage their tires properly, Bob, they'll be able to go longer and faster than the competition.
And as Larry pointed out at the beginning of the show, the team that manages its tires the best could very well be the winner of this race.
Well, it's very hard. You have to have the car set up right, and as tire temperatures go up, they do tend to get worse.
Back with more of the Kansas Indy 300 in a moment. The top 5 in the Kansas Indy 300 after 22 laps: Eliseo Salazar, Eddie Cheever Jr., Scott Sharp, Robbie Buell, and Sam Hornish Jr. And Buell in the second Infinity is doing very well there in 4th.
Robbie, this is Larry in the booth. Are you having any problems at all in there with the heat?
Apparently our signal is not good enough to Robbie that he can understand the question, so the best laid plans sometimes go wrong. Meanwhile, we'll get down to Vince Welch.
Billy Rowe, another short night for you, or a short day for you. What was the cause today?
Well, we put a fresh motor in last night, and the motor blew up. But the Bellaterra Casino G-Force is just running great right up until then. Just a little down. I wish we would have had an update kit and aero suspension. There's about 6 miles an hour for us, but we're a new team trying to get things together, and we'll show up at Kentucky and see what we can do there.
How are the track conditions?
I thought it was. I thought it was a little slippery. My car was a little pushy. I'd been able to go just run flat out there, but for some reason I wasn't able to quite get that done. But it was pretty good actually.
That's Billy Rowe. Jack.
Well, Greg Ray has finally made the repairs to the fuel injection system on his Team Menard car and is back out on the racetrack. Many, many laps down. This means this weekend will be one of mixed emotions for team owner John Menard. You see, Bob, his son won his first ever NASCAR Remax Challenge race yesterday.
Oh, great news. Well, as is the case with your personal car, tires are one of the most important elements of these IRL cars. And Larry Rice looks at the difference between the two.
There are several differences between this Firestone passenger car tire and the one they use here in the Indy Racing League. The first obvious one is the grooves. The fact that this one has a lot of grooves because they run these tires in the rain. It dissipates the water so the rubber gets to the ground. The Indy Racing League, they never run when the track is wet, so they don't need any grooves. The other thing is the width. Very wide racing tire, very narrow passenger car tire. Why? Well, this tire is designed to go 225 miles an hour through the corners. Obviously, you don't have to go nearly that fast in a passenger car. The other thing is the thickness of the rubber. This rubber is 3/8 of an inch thick. In the racing tire, it's only the thickness of these 2 pennies. Why? Well, this tire is designed to go 100,000 miles. This one only has to go about 100. But no matter what, they have the best engineers in the world working on both of these tires. So whether you're in your passenger car or in the race car, you feel sure that you've got the best tires in the world under you.
Speaking of the tires, they are of major concern here today, but the Firestones have been holding up, particularly for Ayrton Dare, who made up 10 spots in the first 4 laps. Remember, he started last today, but he quickly made his way up through the middle, and when he came in during that first pit stop, the tires were in perfect condition, and that was a good sign for Mark Wheat and the rest of this Team Extreme crew. Bob?
Some drivers have made pit stops, but most everybody has not. Well, I mentioned that this is the 8th of 13 races. Let's take a look at where we will go for the remainder of the year. July 21st, that's a Saturday night on ESPN at the new track in Nashville. Then we'll go back to Kentucky Speedway in Sparta August 12th. Visit for the first time as far as the IRL is concerned, St. Louis track August 26th. The brand new Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet on September 2nd, and the season ends once again at Fort Worth, Texas on ESPN September the 16th. Well, ABC Sports is giving you the chance to win a ride in an IndyCar and a trip to next year's Indianapolis 500. We'll be revealing the Indy All Access Sweepstakes Driver of the Day later in today's race, so stay tuned. On board with Sara Fisher there, who is running in 17th position.
Now, Bob, one thing I think we should talk about is the fact that some of the drivers that are further back in the order here decided to pit during this yellow, therefore taking them out of the fuel sequence with the leaders. They're gambling. The leaders will have to come in under green, therefore moving them up on the track.
Dismore, Fisher, Dare, McGee, and Calkins have all made pit stops.
The true distance on this track is 1.52 miles, so it's a little bigger than 1.5 miles. Everybody tells me the turns 1 and 2 are much like Kentucky, but down here in 3 and 4, more like Las Vegas. So they kept to kind of set a setup that combines those 2 racetracks to run fast around here.
It's a real compromise and a real challenge for the drivers and the teams to come to a brand new racetrack. Some of them have tested here, but a lot of them didn't. And so when they came here and went onto the track on Thursday, this was all new.
We talked about the heat. Everybody tells me that under slow conditions, under yellow, is the worst for the engines. They don't have all that air going through the coolant, so they don't get the cooling in the engines that they normally do. So this long caution might not be as good for the engines as running under high speeds.
And we have been under the caution for a few laps now. Billy Rowe did put down some fluid on the racetrack, so the IRL safety team had to go out there and put down the oil dry and then blow it off the racetrack. But as you can see, with the furled flag in hand, the indication is that we will go back to racing next time around, and Sara Fisher is making yet another pit stop.
Yeah, she pitted earlier under this yellow. Hopefully she doesn't have a problem.
It's a splash and go. This is a strategy to keep her up towards the front.
That's exactly what it is. They want to keep Sara Fisher topped off, as Jason alluded to, take her out of sequence and see if she can go a little bit further than everybody else.
Eliseo Salazar is at the front of the field as the pace car has pulled off the racetrack. And Salazar is leading his third race this year. His teammate Donnie Beechler also has made a nice move in the opening laps of this race, running in 6th spot.
You'll notice the restarts are off of turn 4. They're not going into turn 3. They changed that procedure for this race. Oh, it looks like some of the guys in the back got a big flyer. They're 3 wide.
Indeed, some of them are stacked up 3 deep as they head into turn 2, now 2 wide. Oh, look at Buddy Lazier on the high side of the racetrack make a move.
He got a great run back there. He got a great run back there and got by a couple of cars.
And up front also a good battle for first and second, but here is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on back. That's Scott Sharp in third, and then Sam Hornish Jr., followed closely by Buddy Lazier. And Lazier has made a good move, but look how close now Cheever is to Salazar up front.
Yeah, he had to get out of the throttle. He was going to try the outside. He thought better of it. Too early to make that move on the outside right now.
And he's had the fastest car here all weekend. That new Infinity power plant that he's running obviously has a lot of horsepower and is very fast. He's going to make a run at Salazar now, I figure.
Sam Hornish, meanwhile, is really giving Sharp all that he wants, as he's tried inside and outside, and he's running about a car and a half up, but he can't quite get 2 car lengths up there in order to get by him.
Real-time interval here as they head down into turn 3 once again.
And there's Giafone now. Looks like he's got that car dialed in a little better, and he's going to stick his nose into that mix.
As a matter of fact, he has passed Buddy Lazier, as you can see, and taken over the 5th position. And Donnie Beechler has also been able to get around it now. Here is Giafone up to challenge the 4th place car, Sam Hornish. So Giafone, the rookie, looks strong once again, but behind him, he gets a challenge from Beechler.
Well, Lazier's reporting that he's got a problem with his gearbox. He can't get out of 4th gear, so maybe he got that great jump in a lower gear, but now they can't shift it up into the cruise control mode.
He has dropped back to the 7th position. Buddy Lazier has, going for 3 consecutive wins. He won at Pikes Peak. He won last Saturday night in Richmond, and is trying to duplicate the feat of Kenny Breck in 1998.
And he's all over that rev limiter, so obviously he's not in the gear that he wants to be in.
Bob, this battle for first and second between Eddie Cheever and Eliseo Salazar. Cheever looks to the inside, reminiscent of the move Cheever tried to make on Salazar in Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. It ended up putting both of them in the wall with about, a handful of laps to go. Now it looks like Cheever's still trying, but these guys do not exchange Christmas cards. In fact, they haven't talked much since Richmond.
Well, Cheever did make the pass, and so put Eddie Cheever at the front of the field for the first time, and we have our second leader, and he's going to lead lap number 33 of this race.
And Salazar made sure he gave him plenty of room. He gave him a lot of room down in 1 and 2 where he didn't make the pass, so Cheever says, if you're going to open the door, I'm going to take it.
This is 3rd and 4th. On the left of your screen is Scott Sharp, the pole sitter, and on the right, the bright yellow car, is Sam Hornish Jr. Here is a replay of that pass, and Cheever tried to pass Salazar in the 3rd turn at Richmond. He tries it again here at Kansas and makes it.
Yeah, Salazar was well aware he was there. He ran that whole 1st and 2nd corner very wide, and when he did that, Cheever knew he was going to give him room, so he took advantage of it.
This is only the 2nd race that Eddie Cheever has led this year. He led 64 laps at Texas.
And Bobby led 7 of 9 races last year, so you might think, well, it's not been as good a season for Cheever as it was a year ago. But the qualifying for Eddie in the Infinity has been so much better this season. He never qualified above 5th last year, but he's been in the top 4 times this season. They feel much more confident in the Infinity power this year compared to a year ago. And in fact, although no victories this season, I think Infinity has shown its potential. Infinity has been knocking on the door of other teams, and other teams have knocked on the door of Infinity. I'd expect to see another car with Infinity power before the end of the season.
Infinity All-Style engine won at Pikes Peak last year. The 35A has yet to win a race. This may be the day. That's Scott Sharp, who's running 3rd. That is 1st and 2nd. Eddie Cheever Jr. now leads. Salazar is 2nd. And we'll return with more of the Kansas Indy 300 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Clear. Looking outside. Outside clear. Nice pass. Caught him with his shorts down. Still there. Still there. Still there. Clear.
Oh yeah, we're back in Kansas.
And we would like to thank Patsy for playing the role of Toto.
Patsy the Schnauzer,
Yep.
and you have a Schnauzer yourself,
Yep.
don't you, Jake?
Cool dogs. Well, a lot has happened on the racetrack. Sam Hornish Jr. has moved to second position. He was running fourth when we went to break. He's now up to second and just about a third of a second behind Eddie Cheever Jr., the leader.
Once again, the Pennzoil Panther team pulls out some secret thing. You know, how many times have we seen this season where the Pennzoil Panther team is fast, but then on race day, all of a sudden, they have the best car on the track and can walk away from the field.
Well, they work on their race day setups pretty hard. Obvious it pays off because he just laid back, kind of ran nice and cool, and just held his position. But all of a sudden, he really has come on strong.
You know, I talked to Sam yesterday during qualifying, and I asked him, I said, what exactly does your engineer and all your crew, what do they find in the car? And he said, I have no idea. And he said, what do you think you're in for tomorrow? He said, I guess I'll see you when the green flag falls.
That's right.
Uh-oh, now he's got to run. Sarah slowed up Cheever going into that corner, and he didn't get back on the throttle very fast. We'll see.
Oh, they're three abreast.
Inside.
Sam Hornish
Hornish gonna make it
Clear.
Oh, he's got him. Hornish takes the lead.
That was all set up when Cheever got out of the throttle because Sarah was in front of him. Not her fault. He could have gone to the outside, but he decided to stay behind her. But when he lifted just that little bit, it cost him a couple of hundred RPMs down that straightaway. Hornish took advantage of it and blew by him.
And a couple of hundred RPMs around this track is huge. Talking to Donnie Beechler today.
Clear.
Didn't he say that 150 RPM was worth 3 miles an hour around this track?
That's what he said. Exactly.
Jack Arute is in the Pennzoil pit.
And I'm with Rocket Blanche. And Rocket, you watched that move by first Cheever and then your driver, Sam Hornish. How deep is your bag of tricks with the Pennzoil Panther team?
All right, right now we're running pretty good. I couldn't hear you very good right there. I was hoping they'd send Sam Posey down to talk to me, but that's all right. No, right now we're good. The car had a little bit of push starting out, but right now we're pretty good.
Back to you guys. My God.
Oh, you do take abuse down there in the pits, don't you, Jack?
Jack, dude, that was a shot.
We're at the Kansas Indy 300 at the brand new Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. The Indy Racing League, and a great battle up front as Cheever and Hornish go wheel to wheel into turn one, and Cheever gets back the lead from Hornish.
Cheever just wanted to let him know that was a fluke when he got by a while ago.
We've had one caution period. That was for Billy Rowe, who blew an engine and stopped on the racetrack, but it's been all green since then, and the cars are traveling right around 214 miles an hour. Sara Fisher has already lost a lap. She's in 19th position, and one name that you will not see on the rundown today is Jeff Ward. His Heritage Motorsports team has decided to regroup, refocus. They will miss the next couple of races, but be back for the final 3 events of the 2001 season.
Really unfortunate to not have Jeff here. You know, he's such a veteran of this series, and he's such a great competitor. I know that all the other drivers wish that he was in this race because he's such a great competitor. I look forward to having him back.
The draft is really evident as you watch these 2 cars run. You can see that whoever's in back gets that big draft going down the straightaway, and if you're close enough, you can kind of make the run. This time he's not going to, but I think he's setting him up to try to make a run down the front straightaway.
And guys, as you watch Sam Hornish stalk Eddie Cheever Jr., that's not good news for Buddy Lazier. Lazier trails Hornish in the championship points race, and as you see Hornish trying to get him on the outside, Lazier is stuck in 4th gear, so it's not going to be a strong finish for Buddy Lazier in all likelihood, and that makes it even better for Hornish in the championship race.
Buddy Lazier back in 8th position, and Larry, you're right, just like the old days of stock car racing, you get behind the car on the straightaway and slingshot around at the end of the straightaway.
Slip and slide, dip and dive. Isn't that what we used to say?
Hornish retakes the lead. So we've had 3 leaders so far. Salazar led the first 32 laps. Then Cheever has led 17, and Hornish has led 4. And Eddie Cheever Jr. runs 2nd. Then Salazar, Sharp, and Donnie Beechler moves to 5th position. So the Foyt cars are running 3rd and 5th as we check the speeds at the line.
Look at this, the draft is working much better here.
Inside, clear.
And as is usual in the draft, the second car is usually faster than the first, and that's what we saw on that lap, as Eddie Cheever Jr. was a little bit quicker than the leader, Hornish.
And it takes a perfect run to make it work, though. You have to be just the right distance coming off the corner so that he sucks you up, and then you can get up beside him as you enter the corner.
Looking outside. You're clear.
Cheever made another run, but did not have the opportunity to go around. And we have a couple of cars on pit road. Robbie Buell and Buddy Lazier are coming in for pit stops. On board with Lazier as he comes in. Remember, he apparently is stuck in 4th gear.
Well, that's a tough break for him. We're on lap 56. This is about the window that most guys are going to have to make a pit stop, though. So you're going to see everybody coming in here pretty shortly.
And Larry, Eddie Cheever will be one of those teams that'll be pitting.
Larry, the leaders should be pitting in approximately 5 laps, but the question mark is, when the Pennzoil Panther team pits, will the Infinity car of Eddie Cheever pit as well?
Well, Jack, Eddie Cheever's scheduled to pit in the next lap. His team is already over the wall with the tires ready to go, so look for the 51 car to come in now.
And it's not a routine pit stop for Robbie Buell as the team is going to work on that car. And indeed, Cheever drops down to the apron of the racetrack and gets set to make his first scheduled stop of the day, relinquishing 2nd position. And 3rd place, Eliseo Salazar is also in for his first routine pit stop. 4 tires on, fuel is in, and Salazar goes away.
Now those people that made early pit stops, you're going to see them. They're going to stay out for another 15 or 20 laps. If they catch a yellow, they could catch a huge break here.
We got the clock on Eddie Cheever Jr. as the Infinity team works on his car. 11 and less than 12-second pit stop for Cheever, and away he goes.
Bob, there was some right rear blistering on the tire that they took off there for Eddie Cheever. Certainly something that not only Cheever's team, but all teams along pit road will be keeping an eye on today.
And now Sam Hornish Jr. will give up the lead to make his pit stop as he, too, is on the apron of the racetrack.
The pit in front of you, Sam. Speed, what's your pit speed?
Here comes Hornish down off the banking of the turn and onto the
Zero fuel.
pit road, and Jackaroo, he's headed toward you.
And it is a long, slow drive down pit road after going at over 200 miles an hour. Sam Hornish Jr. has to watch for Billy. Boat pulls out directly in front of Hornish, but he was cautioned about it. The car is somewhat akimbo down in the pit box, but the Pennzoil crew goes to work. And they're in trouble getting on. seconds, though, for Sam Hornish.
Both of those pit stops done well by the teams. Were in and out in less than 12 seconds, both Cheever and Hornish. Well, and here is Cheever on the racetrack running behind Ayrton Dare.
Two things about Cheever. They said he had a little blister on the tire, but it did last for 58 laps, which is very good. And number two, he was still running very, very quick, as fast as anybody, so it means the tire was still working.
Back down to Jack.
Well, we made a quick check on the Firestone Firehawks that have come off of Sam Hornish car. And what's happened is, in this tire right here, we talk about blistering. There is a blister on the tire right in this area here. But really, it becomes a moot point when you consider the fact these tires went the distance for a load of fuel.
That's right. He went 60 laps on a set of tires, was still either the fastest or the second fastest car on the racetrack. So it's not going to present a problem if they can run that many laps. If they get a yellow before that, they'll come in. But for 60 laps, that's a pretty good set of tires.
And those drivers who, as you said, Larry, chose to pit earlier are the ones that are benefiting from this, because Mark Dismore, with whom we are riding right now, is the leader of the race, and Ayrton Dare, that we got a shot of a few minutes ago, running with Eddie Cheever, is second. Robbie McGee is third. Felipe Giafone has just made a pit stop. There's Robbie McGee running in third position. Good to see him back with the Cahill Racing Team after his crash at Texas that left him with a broken leg. Vince is with Robbie Buell.
Well, Robbie Buell had an electrical problem in the practice this morning. Is it something different that's put you out here this afternoon?
Yeah. Something seized up in the motor, just coming down pit lane. It's too bad. I mean, this was the type of day where you just bide your time, and we had the whole Dry and Reinbold Pyrex guys. It was an awesome car. I could go high, I could go low, and we're just buying time, and it's too bad.
Frustrating finish for Robbie Buell.
Indeed, the frustration is very evident. And here is, once again, the leader of the race, Mark Dismore, as 65 laps have been completed. Dare is second, then McGee, Hornish, and Cheever. Back with more of the Kansas Indy 300 in a moment.
At that pace, you're still the fastest car out there, so you tell us.
Laps completed here at the Kansas Indy 300, and those drivers who were off sequence on their pit stops are now beginning to make a pit stop, including Mark Dismore and Ayrton Dare.
Dare's work has been completed. He pulls out as the Brian Delphi car of Mark Dismore, and his crew goes to work. Dismore is away with no major changes, and then he does a complete 360 360 out under the grass. They've got to get the starter and push him back into his pit stall because he has stalled the engine.
Well, you could hear him revving that engine way up, and when he dropped that thing, the clutch, it just spun on him too much, and it got a real good grip and just spun around. What a terrible break for him. That thing, you know, that's just something you don't see very often, especially.
They have asked for a starter from another car, and they're going to go to work to try and start him. As you look at the replay, gets on the throttle, as you said, Larry, way too quick, and does almost a 360 and then kills the engine. Now they've got to refire it. Boy, what a disappointment for Mark Dismore, who seems star-crossed this season.
Well, they got out to a bad start in this race, made an early pit stop, but did get up into the lead. As a matter of fact, he led for 10 laps, but now this unfortunate set of circumstances on his second pit stop. And Robbie McGee, who has yet to pit, is the leader of the race. He has pitted earlier, but
on this cycle he hasn't pitted. You're right.
There you see on the last cycle, Hornish dropped from first to second, Cheever second to third. Beechler went from third to seventh. Sharp maintained fourth, and Giafoni maintained fifth position.
I got to tell you, this is great to see Robbie running out in front of this race, even though it's only going to be for a small amount of time. And
And we do have a caution on the racetrack. He pitted on lap number 18, and so
this is a huge break for him, though. He's a lap up on everybody. Everybody makes a pit stop, he's going to still be in the lead, and he was going to have to make a pit stop pretty short.
And guys, just the way that's a break for him, it's a bad break for teams like Ayrton Dares, for instance, who had just come in, could have stayed out another couple of laps and caught the yellow, but instead came in under the green.
Now the question is, are those guys who pitted just a few laps ago going to come in for fresh tires?
Well, that is a good question. That may not, but so he will be behind them, and according to the new rules, they will all get to go around and catch up with him, although he will still be the leader, right?
You know who else this was a huge break for? Sara Fisher, who worked her way up to 11th place. She was on her 50th lap. She was about to have to come in too and probably get put a lap down.
On board with Sara Fisher, running in the 11th position. This is a debris caution on the racetrack. It comes on lap number 76. Vince has an update on Robbie McGee.
The crew, the Cahill Motorsports team, is over the wall and awaiting Robbie McGee's presence. Of course, the pit's not open as of yet. Now the pits are open, so you can expect to see Robbie McGee come in. Tires and fuel, they don't have to make any chassis adjustments as scheduled.
Now this is what's going to happen, guys, when the pace car is going to pick up Sam Hornish, because he's going to become the leader of the race. So all those cars in between Robbie McGee and Sam Hornish are going to get waved by, and any of those cars that are down a lap are going to get their lap back. This is a huge caution.
And Sara Fisher is going to make a pit stop right behind Robbie McGee.
Yeah, here's Sam Whoops. Here's Sam's car right here. So all those cars in front of him are going to get waved by the pace car and pick up a lap.
Meanwhile, we watch Robbie McGee's Cahill team go to work on his car and Sara Fisher.
It'll be interesting to see where Robbie McGee comes in back in this whole mix when he gets out of there.
Here he goes out of the pits.
And guys, keep in mind that one of the problems for Robbie initially...
And Sara got out ahead of him.
That's great job. Good job in the pits, guys. Great job.
One of the problems for Robbie initially had been working the clutch because of the broken left leg, but they made it a softer clutch so it would be easier for him to get in and out of the pits, and he got out of the pits very cleanly on that last stop.
And so Jack Hornish goes back into the lead.
And you and Larry and we're wondering if Sam Hornish, because of that tire blister, might consider coming in and taking on new Firehawks. The answer from the Pennzoil Panther team is no. They were not at all concerned about the blistering because, as we said, they went the distance as far as the fuel load was concerned.
Sam Hornish Jr. leads at the Kansas Speedway. Just as you rejoin us, the green flag comes out and we go back to competition at Kansas Speedway. Who is that making the move?
Wow, we had a very slow start and we had guys going everywhere. And that was Salazar who went around about a half a dozen cars inside, outside.
Now, the beneficiaries of this most recent caution were Hattori, and Dare, they got back on the lead lap. Robbie McGee, the former leader, is running in 11th position. Sara Fisher, unfortunately, still is a lap down in 16th. But up front, we once again have the battle between Cheever and Hornish, and Cheever moves inside and takes the lead from Sam.
He made that look real easy, but believe me, passing Sam Hornish is not that easy under normal circumstances. Look at how even they are. As soon as he goes around, Hornish picks up the draft, and he starts coming back up on him.
Well, that's the 9th lead change that we have had so far, and 6 different leaders have been at the front of the field in the first 82 laps of the 200 lap Kansas 300.
The 200 lap Kansas 300.
Yeah,
that's right.
Mile-and-a-half racetrack.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I can do the math.
Look at Salazar here and what he does when the green flag comes out.
He's laying back there. He laid way back, and on the restart, he just got on the throttle way ahead of everybody. He went under 2 guys and then to the outside of 2 others, but couldn't quite get around them. But a great restart for him.
That put him up to 3rd position, so he's behind Cheever and Hornish.
Reminds me of the restarts we saw on Friday night out at Lakeside on the half-mile dirt oval.
Yeah, the USAC sprint cars ran out there, put on a great show. And look at this, though. It looks like Hornish once again using that draft to his advantage.
He gets a good run coming off the 2nd corner. I don't know if he's going to be able to make a move here. He will not, but and here is a battle as Beechler is running with his teammate Salazar, who has dropped back to 4th position. Scott Sharp has moved to 3rd. Salazar and Beechler are battling for the 4th position.
And there's Felipe Giafoni right with him and Mark Dismore.
And Ayrton Dare is the fastest car on the racetrack in 8th spot.
You know, Ayrton had a great car last week in Richmond, Virginia, and unfortunately him and Felipe Giafoni got tangled up together in what can only be described as an unfortunate racing incident. But for a while there on Saturday night, he really had the best car on the racetrack, didn't he, Larry?
I agree, 100%.
And for you Allenzer Jr. fans, he spent a long time on pit road, a long unscheduled stop. He was running 7th when he came in. And once again, we have a debris caution on the racetrack. Another caution flag comes out for debris. And so we'll take another break and be back with more of the Kansas Indy 300 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Over to you, Mike.
Okay, bring your speed in. He's going to be leaving soon behind you. In we go. Find your marks. Find your mark.
Back at Kansas City, we do have some cars making late pit stops under this caution, and there you see 3 of them going out onto the racetrack. That's Buddy Lazier, Sara Fisher, and Robbie McGee.
And one driver that hopes for a pit stop very shortly at the end of his fuel load is Scott Sharp. He actually, by mistake, tore off all of his visors, all of the tearaways. He's down to the last one. Now the rest of the race during pit stops, they will have to clean his windshield.
And the green flag comes out. Here we go once again, and look at Scott Sharp on the outside of Cheever and Hornish, and it's a 3-wide battle to the corner, and Sharp comes out with the lead.
And look at Cheever, he's dropped back to 4th. But you know, the Flyers on that restart, they've changed the restart method, and now it's coming off of 4. It looks like a lot of guys have figured out how to get a little flyer.
Sharp will not lead this race very long. He will not lead at the line because Sam Hornish Jr. has gone around, and here comes Donnie Beechler.
Donnie the Bullet Beechler up into 3rd place for A.J. Ford. Fantastic.
And now into 2nd place as he goes around Scott Sharp. He's having a great run.
Larry, I talked to Donnie Beechler earlier this week, and he said, you know, all of the races since the Indy 500, with A.J. Foyt, I've been concerned about having a car to take to the next race. He said, I came here this week figuring maybe this is my last race, maybe not. The conservative way is not the Foyt way. I'm going to drive the same way that earned me the ride the first time with A.J.
And we're watching Cheever as he gets a good run off the corner, goes to the inside of Scott Sharp. Takes 3rd position. Boy, this battle up front is good too. Beechler stalking the Pennzoil Panther car of Sam Hornish.
I think Beechler's got a run on him going into turn 1. Let's see.
Donnie Beechler from Springfield, Illinois. Goes around Hornish and takes the lead.
Oh boy, that is fantastic.
What a race for the lead. It's everybody out there using that draft to their advantage. And you can see Hornish, he gets a little bit high. That's going to give an opening to Cheever, and it looks like he's going to take advantage of it.
And so Eddie Cheever moves to 2nd and now draws a bead on Beechler. Beechler has not finished out of the top 10 on a 1.5-mile track since June of last year. He was 6th in Texas earlier this year, 6th last October at Texas, 10th at Kentucky last summer, and 5th at Atlanta last summer. Well, if you don't think a game show can have attitude and be downright hilarious, then you don't know Jack. It's ABC's brand new summer hit, Wednesday, 8:30, 7:30 Central.
You know, I thought if you didn't watch Indy racing today, you didn't know Jack.
Look at that. Beechler gave Cheever the inside. His spotters told him he was on the inside. He did not move down, but Cheever was a little tentative. He didn't want to take advantage of it. This time he still gives him room, and Cheever still can't make the pass.
Guys, Cheever's much more confident, though, of that right rear tire. Remember, we reported earlier he had a little blistering, but he radioed in and said the right rear feels much better. And Owen Snyder, his crew chief, said the pressures are better as well. We seem to have a handle on it now. You're good to go. So Cheever feels good, and so does the crew about his car.
We've got the top 5 drivers running right together on the racetrack. The top 5 are separated by less than a second. There they are. And again, a battle up front as Cheever, off corner number 4, comes through the triangle, pulls alongside Beechler, and takes the lead again.
Hornish is going to follow him through. I've been impressed, though, that Beechler's been able to run on that outside groove and keep ahead of those guys. Now that Sharp moves up, and he's going to lose a spot.
We are within 2.5 laps of the halfway mark in the Kansas Indy 300. The Indy Racing League performing for the 8th time this year, and they're doing so today in front of a sold-out new Kansas Speedway. 75,000 race fans have gathered here to watch this event, and so far we have had a dandy. 7 leaders, 12 lead changes, 3 caution periods, nothing for an accident. 19 laps have been run under caution, and only 2 cars right now are out of the race, both because of mechanical problems.
And these 75,000 people here today are definitely getting their money's worth. These guys are putting on a great show.
This is Sam Hornish and Eddie Cheever again up front.
And you can see when you get real close to the guy going through the corner, the front end pushes out. Right here, you can see Hornish, he loses a little bit of ground because he pushes up towards the wall. So you have to really time that pass well. Meanwhile, Billy Boat has moved up into 4th spot.
Guys, that's good news for Billy Boat, because during that morning practice he had a bad vibration in the right rear, and they were very concerned about possibly a terminal problem, but they did some major changes after the practice. So nobody more thrilled than that crew to find him still running in the race, particularly fourth.
You noticed the track temperature last time around is 136 degrees.
These guys have caught a huge break. There is a slight cloud cover. It's a very thin layer of clouds, but it has kept that temperature down about 10 degrees. Yesterday, during the truck race, it was almost 10 degrees hotter than that.
Jack Arun is with Al Unser Jr.
And the Stars car for Al Unser Jr. and Dallas Racing is out of this race. I know you fouled the plug, Al, and that cost you some valuable laps. What knocked you out finally?
Well, we don't know what the problem is. It's hard to believe that it's a spark plug. I don't think it's that. I think something, a spring broke, or valve spring broke, or it dropped a valve somehow. And so, what can I say? The Star Superpack car was running good today. Firestone tires are holding in there real good. So, it's just sad to see us like this. So I want to say hi to Al, Cody, Shannon, Little Joe.
Next stop for Al, Nashville.
Al Unser Jr. coming off his best finish of the year last Saturday night in Nashville when he came home in 3rd position. As we watch again the first 3 cars here, Cheever, Hornish, and Beechler. Might mention that Rick Gall is the owner of Al's car and the owner of Didier Andre's car. He and his wife Tina and their 2 daughters all attended the University of Kansas in Lawrence, not too far away from here. As a matter of fact, Rick played football for the Jayhawks.
In front of you.
And there is the car that is showing some smoke here on the front stretch. And it looks like it will be the number 6 car of John Herb.
Well, that's a tough break for John Herb. As you can see right there that he did have some trouble with that engine. A lot of smoke. Those guys were very alert and got off the throttle very quickly.
And a good move by John to just park the car, get it into the grass off of the racetrack. So John Herb will bring out another caution, and we understand that the front 2, Cheever and Hornish, are scheduled for pit stops during this sequence. Right now, as you can see with the red and yellow flag, the pits are closed, but as soon as the pace car picks up the field, the pits will open.
Well, they've run about 45, 46 laps, so that's the window. 50 laps is the window, 50 to 60, so they're definitely going to make a pit stop under this yellow.
Larry, A.J. Foyt just a couple of moments ago radioed to Donnie Beechler and said, Donnie, what do you need? Donnie radioed back and says, I really need a taller gear. A.J. radioed back and said, then I guess you're going to just have to draft.
Well, our next Indy Racing League event is on ESPN Saturday night, July 21st at the new Nashville Super Speedway. It's a 1 1/3 mile concrete super speedway, another challenge, another test for the IRL competitors. You can see it on ESPN Saturday night, July 21st at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 Pacific. Look at that nice crowd here at Kansas as they get set to watch some pit stops now from Eddie Cheever, Sam Hornish, and others as the pits have now been opened.
Well, Sam Hornish says his problem right now is he picks up a push when he's running behind somebody, so they'll probably make some sort of a slight adjustment to try to help that problem. That's the reason he was drifting up towards the wall coming off of the corners when he was following someone.
We will see several make pit stops. Cheever's pitted way up toward turn number 4, whereas Sam has a long way to go before he gets to his pit stall, which is the very first one down toward pit out.
But right here's the blend line. Right here's the blend line, so Hornish is much closer to that blend line. If Cheever gets a big run on it, though, he could beat him there.
Nice stop for Cheever and the team, 11 seconds. And now the Pennzoil Panther team will get him out in a little...
He stalls the car. They've got to try and get it refired. Sam Hornish has a problem. Billy Boat runs into one of Sam Hornish's tires. It's mayhem, chaotic down here in the Pennzoil Panther pit. Oh, what disappointment for Sam Hornish Jr.
But we've seen that before earlier this year when Sam had a good car, lost some time in the pits, but he was able to make it up, and we'll see if he can do it here as the Pennzoil Panther team, led by Kevin Blanche there.
You can see Kevin, he's going around saying, good job, we got him back out, we're okay.
Lost several positions, falls back to 11th of 12 cars on the lead lap. Stay with us for more of the Kansas Indy 300. The 2001 Indy Racing League season rolling on today here at Kansas Speedway. The race currently being led by Robbie McGee. We are under caution because of Scott Sharp's crash. He is okay. We've got 5 events to go here in 2001. The 2002 schedule has been announced. They will not race at Atlanta, but will add 2 new venues. And with more, here's Jack Arute.
2002 sees the IRL visiting 13 tracks in 13 cities for a 14-race series that starts in Florida at Homestead Miami Speedway in March. Then it's off to the desert of Arizona, 200 miles on Phoenix's lightning-quick 1-mile oval. A new track for the IRL is stop number 3, the 1-mile Nazareth Speedway in central Pennsylvania. The 86th running of the Indianapolis 500 will occupy the month of May. June 8th, Texas Motor Speedway hosts the IRL in the first of their 2 scheduled visits to the Lone Star State. And then Colorado's Pikes Peak comes at you Father's Day weekend, where Buddy Lazier is the defending champion. On June 29th, it's a return engagement to the 3/4-mile Richmond Raceway. Kansas Speedway holds their race 1 year from this weekend. And on July 20th, Nashville Speedway hosts the IRL on their concrete track. July 28th sees the IRL's first ever appearance at the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway. On August 11th, Cincinnati area fans get their taste of the IRL at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. The paperclip-shaped Gateway Speedway outside St. Louis, Missouri is the 12th stop on the 02 season. Windy City fans host the IRL on September 8th at Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet. Then it's the curtain closer at the Lone Star State, the second visit to Texas Motor Speedway. And Scott Sharp has been checked out of the infield care center. And Scott, from the onboard, it looked as if definitely something broke.
Yeah, Jack. Delphi car was running great. You know, we were really just taking our time. Knew I had a lot of laps left. Figured I'd be able to get a chance to get Eddie somewhere. Just drove it down in turn 3 like I'd done, 120 times. Unfortunately, all of a sudden, I felt a little burble in the back of the car, and just the rear end just snapped around. I'm not sure. Something must have broken.
Things happen so quickly, you really can't keep up with it sometimes.
Well, certainly when something breaks and you're going 215 miles an hour, it's gone. It's just a shame because obviously we're running great, going right according to plan, but I guess Lord's way.
Scott, we thank you for bringing us on the air. First time in history that a driver's ever done that, but to be quite honest with you, we'd hope you would take us off the air in the same manner. We'll see you in Nashville.
All right, thanks.
Scott Sharp crashing here at Kansas. We're going to take another break. Look at the pit in and pit out. Sam Hornish Jr. was 7th when he came into the pits and will restart in 3rd.
It's time to reveal the Indy All-Access Sweepstakes Driver of the Day.
Hi, I'm Sam Hornish Jr. Defiance, Ohio. I'm the Indy All-Access Driver of the Day.
For your chance to win a ride in an IndyCar and a trip to next year's Indianapolis 500, log on to ESPN.com, keyword Indy Pass. Fill out an entry form and include the name of the driver of the day. One entry with the correct answer will be selected at random as this week's winner.
All right, just a few moments ago, bringing you up to speed. Robbie McGee was on pit road. Everything looked good at this point. He begins to pull away, and watch what happens. The left rear is not attached.
Well, that's too bad. I'm not sure whether that's
right
an issue
rear,
with the clutch. Is the right rear that came off, but I'm not sure whether that's a clutch problem or whether they lowered the car and he thought it was time to go, and he just went before the right rear was on.
In any case, he did stay on the lead lap. He is the last car on the lead lap in 10th position.
Green. Wow, let's see who gets a run this time. It doesn't look like anybody got near as good a run as we've seen in the past couple of yellow flags.
And Donnie Beechler pulled up beside Buddy Lazier right there. He's going to make a stab at 3rd.
And Ayrton Dare did get another good start. He was racing alongside Shiki Hattori.
Wow, Beechler got a gate run now. Oh, we got another yellow.
Ooh, we got a car in the fence.
That's a tough break.
That's Jarrod Schrader.
The Amvets car, that's a new sponsor for them. They just picked that up at Indianapolis. They were hoping to have a very good showing here for their new sponsor, but obviously didn't come to as good an end as they had hoped.
Well, if there were any teams that had any worries about making it on fuel, I think those fears have been assuaged.
Jarrod Schrader has driven for 2 different teams this year. He started out with this PDM team, then ran for TriStar, is back with PDM this week as John Herb drives for TriStar, but unfortunately Schrader's race has come to an end. can see there's a lot of fluid coming from that car too, and the kitty litter, the oil dry being put down.
Yeah, they're trying to stop that from running down into the groove, and you can see they're putting a real heavy dose on right there in the middle of the racetrack so that it doesn't go get beyond that and on down the racetrack. Now then they're bringing out some more for that other smaller bit that's going down the racetrack, but he is moving around in the car. That is good news.
This is actually where the term being a busy little beaver comes from, I think. Building dams with quick dry.
Yeah. Watch the right side of your screen, upper right, and there he is into the wall.
Yeah, he's in the fence. There's really no way to tell exactly what happened, but you know, when all that heavy traffic, you can see pieces even falling off. There's the drive shaft coming off and rolling down the hill.
Jarrod's okay, standing alongside his damaged race car. Let's go down to Vince Welch.
In that last accident involving Scott Sharp, some of the debris was collected by the car of Felipe Giaffoni, and you can see the debris hit the front right toe link, and this is what connects the steering to the right front tire, and the damage there done. Obviously, you're not going to be able to run very long with that type of damage on your right front. The team, unbelievably, was able to come in and change this part without losing a lap. He ended up going to the back of the lead lap, but was not losing a lap, and that's certainly big news when you're trying to stay on that lead lap to have a shot at winning the race. They had to come back in and top it off at fuel, but they did some great work here in the Treadway Hubbard pits. Jack?
Vince, it's always the case. One man's misfortune is another man's good fortune, and that's the scenario for Eddie Cheever Jr. He needed these additional yellow laps to open the window so that he could go the distance without making another fuel stop. But here is a problem that is now befallen the Infinity Power Plant and Eddie Cheever Jr. On restarts, he goes to second gear, takes it to the rev limiter. When he shifts to third, the car just goes bleh. Bob?
How fast is bleh, I wonder?
How does it go, Jack? How does it go again?
See if I can get it. From second gear to third, it goes bleh.
Oh, okay.
That is slow. You're right, Jack. That's not going to be good.
Thank you. 151 laps completed at Kansas Speedway. Eddie Cheever Jr. leads Sam Hornish and Donnie Beechler, along with Buddy Lazier, Billy Boat, Eliseo Salazar, Ayrton Dare, Shiggy Attori, Felipe Giaffoni, and Robbie McGee. Still under caution here at Kansas Speedway with 153 laps concerned. Let's turn back the clock and replay what's happened, the highlights of this event so far. Now from his third starting position, Eliseo Salazar led the first 32 laps, but then on lap number 33, Eddie Cheever Jr., second place starter, was able to get around for the lead. On the 53rd lap of the event, Sam Hornish Jr. showed his muscle, passing Cheever in the same area of the racetrack, and he went to the lead. On the 72nd lap, Mark Dismore had this incident on pit road, and this made him so mad at himself that he has in recent laps turned the fastest of the entire race. Watch this restart. Eliseo Salazar going low on the racetrack and passing 5 cars. On lap number 106, Sam Hornish Jr. also had a problem on pit road. The pit stop itself went smooth, but then he stalled coming out of the pits. They had to refire him. However, he is back to second. Then on lap 137, the pole sitter Scott Sharp hard into the outside wall. He is okay. Jarrod Schrader was the most recent to crash. He also is all right. Our stories update. Eddie Cheever Jr. is the leader of the race in one of the Infinities. Robbie Buell is out of the race. Buddy Lazier is now fourth, and the heat situation is still around. However, as Larry pointed out earlier, we do have a thin cloud cover that has really helped out, and so is the stiff breeze that you see blowing that caution flag there on the starter stand. There, the 75,000 people that have gathered here in Kansas. In this area, they have not seen this type of racing, Indy-style racing, since the 20s. And believe me, it was not on this type of racetrack they competed on. Here's Jack.
In the 1920s, Kansas City was a stop on one of the Roaring '20s biggest racing rages. They were dotted across America.
They were board tracks, constructed entirely from lumber and steeply banked. These wooden speedways produced a style of racing that attracted many Indy 500 drivers and thousands of racing fans. Two-time Indy 500 champion Tommy Milton took the first ever win at Kansas City. Indy driver Jimmy Murphy also took a checkered flag on Kansas City's boards.
The banking on the board track here in Kansas City was 36 degrees.
Wow.
Vince?
Well, a driver who's run on just about every kind of track, I don't know if he's run on the board tracks, but just about everything else, is Billy Boat, and he's done a nice job on this one here today. Currently, Boat is running 5th. He's got 4 top 5s this season for the Curb Records team. I'll tell you what, for as much as you got in, he's getting the most out, having another good run today. It's going to be very close on fuel, though, for Billy Boat, currently running 5th. Jack?
The PDM AmVets car for Jarrod Schrader. What happened, Jarrod?
We had just done a pit stop and put new tires on, and you know, it was real turbulent air going down there into 1 and 2, and I don't know, she just came around on me. I had it caught about 2 or 3 times before it finally came all the way around, and you know, not much you can do.
Bob? Good to see Jarrod is okay, however, after that incident. Pace car pulling off the racetrack, and we are set to go back to competition on lap number 157. It's Cheever, Hornish, Beechler, Buddy Lazier, and Billy Boat, the top 5.
Eddie Cheever's going to pick up the throttle a little bit sooner this time. He's not going to wait till he gets square out here. Oh. Well, Cheever picked it up early, and they've told him they're not supposed to pick that start up until they get to that cone. They're supposed to run 85 miles an hour, according to the driver's meeting, until they get to that cone, and then everybody's to pick it up at the same time. Cheever remembers the jumps that some of these guys got. He thought he'd pick it up a little sooner, but the IRL officials are not going to let him do that.
And remember, Larry, part of the problem with Cheever is the problem in that 3rd gear. When he moves on to 4th, it's fine, but for some reason, the engine just doesn't run properly in 3rd.
What's the sound it makes in 3rd, Jack?
A week from this coming Saturday night, July 21st, the next IRL race at the Nashville new Super Speedway. It's concrete. You can see it on ESPN, 8 o'clock Eastern time. That will be another very interesting race for these IRL drivers. Now, we'll see if we get a better start this time.
He's keeping it slower here into 4, and I think he'll start to pull away right about now.
The track temperature is 131, and the air temperature is 99 degrees as the race gets back under green. Mark Dismore on board with him. He's the one that made the move that time, but he, remember, still is a lap down at 11th spot.
I think Dizzy wants to get that lap back.
Yeah, he wants to get back up there and have a chance to win this race, but once he made that move, he's fallen back. But look at Donnie Beechler on the outside. He and Hornish both trying to go around Cheever.
Now Beechler looks to the inside of Hornish for 2nd position as they come off the 4th corner and onto the tri-oval. And look at Felipe Giafoni back there behind Beechler.
Remember, they replaced that front suspension piece under that last yellow. What a tremendous job. A lot of times those cars don't handle as well when you make a change like that. But obviously his is.
Buddy Lazier running back in 5th position. Then comes Boat. Shiggy Hattori is having a good run again. He's in 7th spot, has been on the lead lap all day. Salazar, Dare, and McGee are the others on the lead lap.
Looking outside. He's outside. Still there, outside. You're clear.
Well, he didn't quite pull it off that time, so he's going to try to go to the inside this time.
Inside,
look at Giafoni. He's sitting back there watching what's happening up.
He's going to get a run on him. Those two guys, while they're fighting, he's going to get a run on him and maybe take a chance. But no, he didn't. He'd get out of the throttle coming off the corner. It's not going to have a chance to do it.
Beechler looks to the high side of the racetrack once again. Trying to get around Hornish.
Clear.
Push the front end. That's going to give Giafoni a chance to get by him. Let's see if he can take advantage of it.
Giafoni inside of Beechler. Yes, Felipe will take 3rd position. Beechler back to 4th. Now Buddy Lazier comes up on Beechler.
Look at Beechler, though. He got a good run off that corner. I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick his nose down under him. No, he's not going to do it.
Ayrton Dare is up there in that yellow car. He's in 6th position, up on the high lane. Now, you use the terminology push, Larry, and for those race fans who aren't completely familiar with that term, here it is.
Well, the car doesn't want to turn in the corners due to the lack of the grip. A lot of times it's because you're behind a car in front of you that's disturbing the air. There's not as much downforce on the front wings, and the front end just takes off towards the wall, and you can't turn, and you have to lift out of the throttle.
Buddy Lazier in the Tybo white car and Ayrton Dare in the 1-800 bar none car are battling for position here, 5th.
I don't think any of us expected this kind of side-by-side racing. Remember, this is banked at 15 degrees. Usually at Texas, where it's banked 24 degrees, you expect to see that. But here we've seen them lap after lap do the same thing.
And it also gives us great hope for another exciting event on a track almost identical to this in Chicagoland before too much longer. By the way, Ayrton Dare restarted in 10th position, so he's moved up 4 positions, make that 5 positions. He's now running in 5th position while he's battling with Lazier for 5th. By the way, we have had 18 lead changes here so far in this race. Among 8 drivers, there were 14 lead changes yesterday in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck race here at Kansas Speedway. There were 14 last night in the Pepsi 400. We've had 18 here this afternoon.
Look at Dare. He's still running out there on that same line on the outside of Lazier. Just can't quite pull it off, but you did see Beechler get around Giaffoni just a second ago.
3. Two car lengths behind, 2.
These shots
right
are
behind
on race cars that are going 200 and, well, in Buddy Lazier's case, last lap was 210.2 miles an hour.
And they're flat to the floor. These things, unless you have a reason, you're just flat to the floor all the way around. So you're trying to be so precise entering the corner. You cannot make an error. You can't touch wheels. And at 211 miles an hour, these guys are concentrating more than you can ever believe.
Mark Dismore here, as we said, is a lap down in 11th position, but has had consistently one of the fastest race cars all afternoon long. His fastest lap, which is the fastest of anyone, 217.3. We got less than 32 laps to go.
3 car lengths behind, 3.
And another battle. That is Billy Boat and Eliseo Salazar as they contest 7th.
Billy Boat's had a great run here this afternoon. Salazar's going to get around him right now, but he's had a very good run in that Curve Motorsports car.
Here comes Shiggy Hattori up behind Billy Boat. He wants to take a look down inside himself.
Hattori is in another top 10 run here today in his 7 previous races on mile-and-a-half tracks. He has logged 6 top 10 finishes. Shiggy Hattori has had a great year. Here is Greg Ray, and Ray has just not been a factor all race long. He started the race in the pits. This race started with him in the pits, I should say. He's currently 14th, 19 laps down.
Yeah, that first pit stop, he's run fast enough. He's been running in the 212, 213 mile an hour range all race long. But when you start 19 laps after everybody else starts, you're just kind of out of the mix. Tough break for him because he really was looking forward to getting back in this thing after missing Richmond.
This is Dare and Lazier once again for
5th spot.
Dare's very persistent, as everybody's been. It looks like Lazier can run that inside. He doesn't give anybody the inside line. He really hugs that inside
1 car
of the racetrack.
behind, 1. Right behind you. Right behind you.
That's Dismore. Remember, he's a lap down. He was going to try to make that pass.
2 car lengths behind, 2.
Back
to 3. I think there's a little too much fuel we're throwing in there.
Dare was told a few minutes ago just to follow because they were afraid of fuel mileage, but he doesn't follow instructions very well. He's trying to get out there and make that pass.
8 different leaders today. The IRL record is 10, which has happened on 5 different occasions. But right now, Eddie Cheever Jr. is a second and a half ahead of Hornish as we continue to focus on the best battle on the racetrack here between Buddy Lazier and Ayrton Dare for the 5th spot. 18 lead changes, by the way, is the most since the 31 lead changes that we had at Texas in June of 2000. Vince?
Well, Sam Hornish is good on fuel to the end. His team is confident, but they are concerned about the tires, and they just radioed to Sam to keep an eye out for those tires and save them as much as possible. And they also suggested that he let Donnie Beechler come up on him, and then the 2 of them gang up on Cheever, thinking that maybe Hornish and Beechler together would be faster and be able to climb up on Eddie Cheever to race that 1+ second advantage.
Well, if the draft is working, theoretically that happens.
Well, they should be able to run faster if they run together. The problem is if you let Beechler behind you, he may not like that situation. He may not have the same idea, and he may try to make that pass. So if you let him catch you, you're going to have to be real careful that he doesn't try to get around you.
Doesn't look to me like Sam Hornish is going to have much of a choice in the matter. Big Daddy, the bullet Donnie Beechler.
Yes, sir.
Is coming home.
The top 3 cars are running within 2 seconds of each other. There is second and third, Hornish and Beechler. Cheever in the 35A Infinity engine may be driving to a victory here today, although we have a little bit less than 25 laps to go.
It's not over till it's over. We've seen a lot of times when with only a couple of laps to go, things can happen. So he's still got a long way to go. Now then, all of a sudden, Hornish pulls away a little bit from Beechler.
And by the way, Eddie Cheever Jr. and Buddy Lazier are both participating in their 50th IRL race here today. At the line, let's check the speeds. Cheever at 2:14.0 and Hornish at 2:13.7 and Beechler at 2:12.6. It looked like everybody is going to be slower than those 3 as we check the others on the lead lap.
Those 3 have steadily increased their lead on Giafone, who's in 4th position. Beechler and Hornish, they're running just about the same distance behind Cheever that they have been for about the last 8 to 10 laps.
Donnie Beechler's career best finish is 3rd. That happened in Phoenix in March of 2000.
Clear.
After passing Sara Fisher out there, and for you Sara Fisher fans, she is running in 12th position, 2 laps down. On board with the Kroger.
Looks like it's the pressure that's the problem. You should be okay on 5.
Taking a look here is now Salazar has gotten into this mix. Dare and Lazier have been battling each other. Now Salazar has caught them, and he's going to challenge both of them.
5th, 6th, and 7th.
Actually, Hornish and Beechler have they've gained about a half a second on Donnie Beechler over the last couple of laps. So maybe that hooking up and using that draft is working for them.
Dare now with a slight advantage on the high side of the racetrack.
Still inside, still there.
Buddy Lazier.
You're clear behind, still inside.
It would appear again that Buddy's try to win 3 in a row is going to fall short here this afternoon, but considering his top gear is 4th instead of 6th, he's doing a great job in 5th spot.
Billy Boat is reporting he thinks he might have a tire problem. So usually you can tell if you've got a tire that's not working quite right. It'll shake a little bit, and he thinks maybe he's got a problem with his right rear.
Less than 20 laps to go. Several passing by Sara once again.
Torrey, look at him. He's hanging right in there, right in the midst of this battle back there in this 5th, 6th, 7th position.
He's driving the Epson car, the blue and silver machine. Shiggy Torrey. Started in 9th position and has 6 top 10 finishes and 7 starts on these mile
all clear.
Vince has an update on Billy Boat.
Well, they'd hope to keep Billy out there for the rest of the run, the final 18 laps, but as you reported, he's having a little bit of a vibration. They believe it's a blister of the right rear. No surprise there, but they've left it up to Billy. If he can hang on, stay out. If not, come in and we'll change it.
4 car length behind, 4.
Dare has been running out there for a lot of laps. Now we're taking a look at Beechler as he's been running about 4 car lengths back here for the last 10 laps, and they've now cut the lead down to less than 1 second. So maybe this little drafting technique is working for these two as they're catching Cheever very slowly, but they are catching him.
Yeah, they were well over a second behind just a few laps ago, and now they have cut it to 9/10 of a second as Beechler and Hornish both try to catch up to the leader of the race, Eddie Cheever Jr.
Well, when they catch him, it may be different. We may see Cheever pick up the pace a little bit.
Coming up next here on ABC, the Advil Western Open Golf, except on the West Coast. For those of you tuning in for that, you're watching the Indy Racing League at the brand new Kansas Indy 300. 75,000 people, sellout crowd, watching the final laps of this event as Eddie Cheever Jr. is leading, looking for his first victory of the year. Sam Hornish Jr. is running second. He's the current points leader in the Indy Racing League. And Donnie Beechler, who's driving for veteran car driver and owner A.J. Foyt, is running in third spot. We've had a couple of accidents. Scott Sharp and Jarrod Schrader have both had incidents of wall contact, but both of them are okay.
See now the lead that Eddie Cheever possessed over those other two drivers has been cut down to 0.6 of a second now. It looks like Larry was right in thinking that their drafting technique is definitely reeling him in.
Well, the top three.
Either that or Eddie could have some sort of a problem that we haven't heard about, and that wouldn't be good. These guys, once they catch him, believe me, it's not going to be easy to get around him. He can smell victory.
Could also be Eddie may need to conserve the fuel a little bit. As we mentioned earlier, the Infinity engine tends to be a tad bit thirstier than the Oldsmobile.
JP, here's what the situation is with Eddie Cheever. Some of the cars directly in front of him have given his spotters some concern. As they watch Sam Hornish in Cheever's rearview mirror, they keep telling Cheever, just stay far enough in front of Hornish, because in front of you is an accident waiting to happen.
Well, I don't know about that, but he better start taking notice, because Hornish right now is right on his rear wing. And he doesn't want to stay there, believe me. He wants to be in front.
Sam Hornish has done an amazing job of coming up through the traffic. Now, he did have a miscue in the pits earlier today, but he did at Homestead earlier this year also. He came back to win that race. Can he do it again here in Kansas? He is now right on their rear wing. Now he pulls alongside, and he's going to pass Eddie Cheever Jr. with ease, and Sam Hornish takes the lead with the 10 laps to go.
We had a great run on him. Cheever knew that he was going to stick his nose down there. He didn't even attempt to hold him up, and he just ran the high line and let Sam Hornish go.
Sam drove by him like Eddie was dragging a stump down that straightaway.
But here's the question. With what we've learned about the draft here in Kansas, Larry, are you better off on the last lap in first or in second?
That's a question that Cheever's going to answer for us. As you can see right now, he is catching him, and he's catching him quick. So.
He's got a good run going through the tri-oval. They head toward turn number 1, and they come so close to touching wheels entering the corner.
Boy, and you heard Eddie just roll out of the throttle a little bit there to avoid contact. Unbelievable.
Sam Hornish Jr. came into this race in his sophomore season with a 50-point advantage in the standings. He has 2 wins, 2 runner-up finishes, a 3rd and a 4th in the IRL this year. Cheever has another good run coming down through the tri-oval once again. Will Cheever be able to take the lead from Hornish? Not now.
Well, Hornish was on the outside. I think he saw Sara Fisher up there. Didn't want to get in a pick in a bad situation because Beechler is right behind him. He could have fallen to 3rd if he hadn't given him away and dropped in behind him.
Indeed, Donnie Beechler is right there within a few car lengths of Eddie Cheever Jr. Stand by for golf coming up, except on the West Coast here on ABC. We have less than 6 laps to go in this race.
It's going to be interesting because you know Eddie Cheever's not going to let this go easy. He's going to give it everything he's got. Sam Hornish, on the other hand, this young buck, he's not going to give in very easily either. And right there, he got a good run off that corner and pulled away from Cheever a little bit.
Now Cheever may have Beechler to contend with as Donnie gets a good run coming off the tri-oval.
Yeah, Donnie started on the outside, thought better of it, pulled back in behind him going down the straightaway, but it appears that Cheever's lost a little bit of that edge he had earlier in the day.
And it's hard to believe at the beginning of the weekend, this Pennzoil Panther team was concerned about the way its car was handling on the 1.5-mile tracks, and especially since that's about all we've got at the end of the season, but how strong he has become down the stretch of this race again.
They seem to have had such a great year. They all come together when it counts. During the race, they make the right changes at the right time, and boy, it's worked great for them so far.
Sam Hornish Jr. has led most laps in the IRL this year, 6 of 8 races, and he has only 3 more to lead here before he takes the checkered flag. But don't count Eddie Cheever Jr. out. Cheever has been fastest in all of the practices. He wound up 2nd fast in qualifying and has been a factor all afternoon. In fact, he will lead the most laps here this afternoon.
Looking down the inside, looking inside, clear behind,
squeezes by and takes the lead from Hornish.
Wow, that was incredible. Eddie got a great run on Sam coming all the way down the back straightaway.
But did he do it one lap too early? There's still 2 laps to go, and now then Hornish is going to have the advantage with the draft behind him.
Kansas Speedway is sold out, and every single person is up cheering for their favorite, whether it's Eddie Cheever Jr. or Sam Hornish. Will come down and take the white flag this time.
White flag, Sam. 1 to go, 1 to go.
Cheever,
You got anything? Now's the time.
1 more lap to go. Will it be Cheever or Sam Hornish Jr. at Kansas? They go into turns 1 and 2, and Hornish drops back by about 2 car lengths, perhaps waiting to get a good run. There is a lap car up ahead that could play a factor. Eddie Cheever Jr. could be driving to victory for the 35A Infinity engine for the first time in history. Here he comes off the 4th turn. He takes the flag, and Eddie Cheever Jr. wins for the 5th time. Wow. The second for the Infinity in the 51 race IRL history, but the first for the 35A engine. And his last lap, by the way, was the fastest of the day for Cheever at over 216 miles an hour. It's Cheever, Hornish, Beechler, Giafoni, Buddy Lazier, Dare, Salazar, Hattori, Boat, and McGee. Those are the top 10.